when am I going to be the best version of myself? A client of mine. And I said, you're not. Hey guys, and welcome to It's Pretty Simple, a podcast about fitness, nutrition, life, where I try to just simplify everything to help you out on your journey towards whatever your fitness, fat loss goals are. Today, I have a guest with me, Teresa.
Hello.
Teresa is a personal trainer, and she's going to give you a little bit of a background about herself.
Okay, well, I'm from the United States. I've been a personal trainer for about 4 years. And the reason why I got into it is because I grew up doing sports, loving movement, and I've just found that movement is such an escape for me, mentally, and it's something that I come back to as a way to center myself and a way that makes me feel good. I like to help people make movement a part of their everyday life, making fitness accessible, making it easy, and because I think it's something that doesn't have an end goal. So I think movement is something that you should carry through all parts of your life, whether you have a super specific goal or not. So that's what I like to do, making fitness a lifestyle.
That's really good. So coming from you saying that, or I already have one question.
Okay.
You said that, fitness shouldn't have an end goal. And I really like that you said that, because this is something I strongly believe in. I did not believe it, obviously, when I first started my journey. It was different. But it's something that I found that's just part of life, and it should be just as much as the same thing as you brushing your teeth in the morning, right? At least strength training, something that we need for longevity purposes.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think about people who have a specific aesthetic goal, right? And that's their goal. Like I don't know if you have clients like this. I definitely have clients or potential clients who speak to me and they're like, this is my body goal and this is what I want to get to. What would you say to somebody who comes to you in that situation?
Okay, well, I would probably like to dig a little bit deeper as to why they want that specific goal. What is like the deeper why? Because sometimes we can think, oh, I really, really want to achieve this specific goal, but in reality, what we really want is to feel a certain way about ourselves. And we can achieve that in different ways, like feeling like confident in ourselves and feeling like we are doing the things to be a better version of ourselves. We don't specifically need to achieve like a certain body weight or a certain aesthetic goal to feel that way about ourselves.
Do you think people who chase an aesthetic goal are usually successful in their long-term fitness journey?
Well, I mean, I think there's value in those types of goals, and people have achieved a lot of really great things and a lot of like long-term success in their fitness while having like aesthetics as part of their goal. However, I've noticed a big trend in that people who do chase these aesthetic goals, at some point they get tired of it, or they lose the motivation, or they realize that they achieved that goal and it didn't really bring them like the happiness or whatever that they wanted from it. So I think there's value in both, but in my opinion and in my experience, I found more fulfillment and more success in my fitness when I focused not on the aesthetic goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think what happens when we chase an aesthetic goal, whether it's like a certain body type or even a number on the scale, I think that we are obsessing over it so much that we don't realize all the other progress that we're making throughout the journey, which, at the end of the day, I feel like people who say, hey, I want to do this for my health, I want to do this because I want to be stronger, they actually end up sticking to it, being more motivated and being more consistent than somebody who's constantly checking the number or constantly checking their measurements or, this is the goal. And I think there's this mindset thing that a lot of women tend to have of, they see all these things on Instagram and they're like, this is what I want, but it's not realistic.
Yeah. So my, like how I actually, a big part of my fitness journey was going from the aesthetic goal and the aesthetic chasing a certain body goal and then transforming over into more of performance goals. That was a big transition for me because when I was chasing like certain body goals and I was just working out for that purpose, every day after I finished the workout, looking in the mirror and being like, do I see a difference? Not really, and getting really discouraged by it. And so then it became where going to the gym, like I was dreading going to the gym. It wasn't fun because I was always looking at this end result when it wasn't, I didn't see it yet.
Yeah.
And so it was really discouraging. But then when I switched over to a different reason and a different style of training to more performance, and it became about just having fun, moving my body, seeing what type of strength and skills that I could get, that's when like everything started flourishing. The way I looked, how I felt, it made a huge difference for me, and that's where training became like a big passion.
Yeah, it kind of just comes with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like earlier this year, I was not training for anything, just training for the sake of training, literally. Mm-hmm. And I was just like in the mirror one day, and I'm like, somehow I feel like I'm at the best point I've ever been on my life, like aesthetically, without even trying for it, because it was not something that was in my mind. I was just moving. Yeah. And I was just eating well. There was no reason behind it, just to do it because it's life. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, wow, I haven't even thought about this. I didn't have this goal, but I look great right now. It's like, I'm at my peak. And it was amazing, performance-wise as well, strength-wise as well. And it just kind of happened because it was not I was not hyper-focused onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like, I've got certain people who like DM me like pictures of girls who have clearly had BBLs, and be like, when am I going to get that?
Yeah.
And I feel like social media has been not such a nice place for a lot of women, especially when you deal with certain insecurities of like, and then you want to start training because everyone seems to be training and having a good life, but then you start chasing these goals that are not even realistic. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these Instagram influencers nowadays have BBLs done, and it's obvious, right? But you can tell, I can tell, maybe some people can tell, but not every single person maybe we work with can tell. So how do you feel that impacts women?
It definitely impacts women, just even if on a subconscious level. Sometimes I think when we're exposed to certain images, and we're also exposed to different ideas about certain images, like certain body types are more desirable or more attractive, even in a subconscious level, I think we do take that in, and we are subconsciously comparing ourselves. I think it's human nature to compare. So seeing those images can be discouraging, especially when there's like deception around how people got that image. And I myself have fallen like victim to, just the body image and comparing and seeing models and desiring this certain type of body type when maybe it's almost impossible, or maybe it's very unlikely for me to have a certain body look
because of genetics.
Because of my build. Like I'm not built to be like a tiny little stick, even though that's what I strived for in my early days. And that was definitely due to seeing images. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I used to like die for abs. It was like I want abs. I'm skinny everywhere, but there was never enough, to the point where I looked so sick, and I still never got abs. I did get it for a short period, but it was not realistic the way I got them. But it was like, it's just all I wanted, because that just seemed like that's hot and that's what we should have, you know? And then, growing up now, you just realize like some people are genetically just like that. And, you could have somebody with the exact same body fat percentage, doing the exact same training, eating the exact same way, same height, same weight, everything. But the way that they're built is so different that one could have those abs while the other one wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And it's purely got to do with genetics. And I think a lot of people don't tend to see that. I mean, in the past, I also used to have, clients who look at a coach, how they choose their coach. They look at somebody and be like, oh, I like her body. I want to have a body like her, so I'm going to train with her. And it's kind of like that has no logic behind it. Yeah. Right? Because you don't know, was this coach overweight or was she really skinny? Mm-hmm. What's her genetic whole put together?
Yeah.
It's and it's really interesting that people actually choose coaches that way.
Yeah, me too. And we have to realize and remember that like we're us humans, we are like these very unique organisms, and we're each so different, and there are so many variables that go into our lives, our upbringing, our nutrition, our genetics. So to have this like kind of image based on someone else that we want to achieve what they look like, I think we have to try to like let that go some. On one part, just focus on ourselves, what we can do with our bodies, and two, maybe become a little less attached to our physical appearance. And remember that your identity is not tied to your physical appearance. Your innate value is not tied to your physical appearance. So yeah, not letting it affect us if our physical abilities or what we're able to do with our body or how we're able to change it doesn't fit some other external expectation we got from somewhere.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, I feel like, earlier you also said that, there's always a deeper reason for why people want a certain body type or why they want to achieve a goal. And I think that's really important to understand, because I think a lot of people tend to be so insecure that having that specific body goal, they just feel like their life is going to be better when that happens. But
yeah,
as you said earlier as well, that's usually not the case, because there's something more. Why are you insecure? Like, you gotta really dig in deeper to figure out why do you feel this way? Who hurt you? Or what was your upbringing like? Honestly, because I think a lot of people don't also realize how much like childhood trauma plays a role in what you want to achieve when you're older, especially when it comes to your body goals, or some shitty past relationship where somebody didn't make you feel good enough, and you just feel like, this is revenge, and this, if I look like this, then I'm gonna get what I want and all that. And I think people really need to understand really why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, why they're doing it. What is it? What feeling are you trying to achieve with what you're doing? Yeah, and what kind of like identity, or how do you want to feel about yourself in that like end state? And then can you achieve that end state feeling in another way without having like a super low body fat? Are you able to feel confident that, or are you able to feel strong? Are you able to feel confident that you do what it takes every day to go to the gym? Like, those are some other valuable like self-identities to have, more than just what does your physical body look like.
Yeah, and I also think a lot of times when girls do have, these goals and they chase them and they actually manage to achieve them at some point, if they've stayed consistent, which is quite rare, but once they do, the question comes down to, can you continue to do what you were doing all this time to get to this? Or have you now achieved this? And then that's it. Because if you have the mindset of, I'm chasing this body goal, I'm chasing this weight, a lot of the times what I have seen is when they see this number that they want, that's it. It's done. And you stop.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Right.
And then you take a couple of months off. And then you suddenly are calling your old trainer again. It's happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey, I know it's been a long time. And I'm like, yeah, it's been 2 years.
Right.
Where are you at? Oh, I want to start training again. Great. Send me your stats. Oh, how did we go backwards even more than when you started with me the last time? When you were like, I'm good. This is what I want. And this is why I now no longer like to work with people who have just a body goal. I always try to dig in. Why? Because if I'm working with you with your body goal, you're going to be done. And then you're going to call me in 2 years. And I don't want you to call me in 2 years. I want you to figure your shit out on your own. You should already know. But if body goal is your goal, you're always going to end up either calling me back or going to another coach.
Yeah, right. I think especially if you just have that such a fixed end goal focus, then you can really get into that cycle of, okay, you achieve the goal and then now you lose what you did to get there because that part wasn't important to you, just achieving it was. So then you're in this cycle, this vicious cycle, or this cycle of, achieving this goal, going all in to achieve this goal, and then when you finally do, you need to release, but you need to release so much that, you fall back, or you gain more than you had before, or you end up eating more than you did before because you were so strict, or you were so focused on this one thing that you didn't learn how to like live life normally.
Exactly.
And stay healthy and stay fit how you like to be while living a normal life.
Exactly. I mean, today I got a message from somebody saying, hey, what do you think of the carnivore diet? And I was like, well, it's bullshit, because you'd rather have a freaking balance. And I feel like, again, with these body goals and everything, it comes to this extreme point where people do things. They do a fat diet. They may cut out carbs or go into keto or whatever it is. And in doing so, they don't actually implement good habits because they're just doing it for the sake of that end goal. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to change this habit of my life and make it part of my life. It's more like, I'm going to do this now until I get to there, and then it's done. So you don't end up reprogramming your brain, which I think is one of the most important things when you're trying to, you're on a fitness journey, or you do want to lose fat, great, but again, the end goal should not just be the body fat thing or the way your body looks, because you need to be able to implement things as habits for them to last, for them to stick in your life.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just becomes temporary.
Right. That's essentially like what a diet is. Like, a diet isn't meant to be something that you do long term. So if it's such a short term thing, right, it's not sustainable. So how is that really helping you live your regular life if all you've ever done is just follow these short, intense diets and then fallen off of it? It's better if we can learn how to eat in a way that's more sustainable. You're not going through these cycles of strictness and not strict. How can we make it more sustainable through everyday life? And that's like how I was saying before, just making fitness a part of your lifestyle. Like, I have managed to stay in really good shape without doing strict dieting or being super strict on my fitness, my movement either. I do both things consistently, eating a fairly well balanced diet, focusing on protein, trying not to overdo it on high fat or high calorie things, although I don't restrict. And same with fitness. I follow fitness programs. If I need to take a week off, if I'm sick or I go on vacation, no problem. It's okay. But I know that, like, I'm doing things in a sustainable way that fit my lifestyle, that fluctuate. So I don't have to go this extreme and then fall off. Yeah,
I feel like that's another thing as well. Like, sometimes I speak to people and they're like, I really want to get into the program, but I'm traveling now, or they're in the program and they're like, oh, I'm traveling now. I don't know what to do. And it's like, one, you can travel and train, and if you don't want to, you're also allowed to take a break. But then, oh, I'm going to ruin all my progress. This is another thing people say. So what do you think about, when somebody's traveling or needs to take a break and needs to stop? Like, I had to do an involuntary break when I did my nose. Like, more than 8 weeks I ended up not training for. It was a scary thing because fitness is such a normal part of my life.
Yeah.
But it was fine. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
I didn't get fat.
Yeah.
It was fine.
You're on the other side now and it was okay.
Yeah. I managed to do other things, but what's your take on that?
Yeah, so that's right. I think people get discouraged, or they think like, oh, I'm going on vacation, or I'm traveling for work, so I'm not going to be able to work out. But in my opinion, I think it's better to find ways to still find time for movement. Of course, if you need to take a full break, like if you're traveling or you're sick, there's no pressure. Like, we lose our gains, like our muscle gains and our fitness gains, not like immediately. So we have some buffer time. So don't worry about like losing your gains or losing your muscles if you need to take time off. On the other hand, if you can find time, which I think it's possible because we don't need much time to maintain our fitness, I think you should do it. Like, even 10-15 minutes of a quick workout while you're in the hotel traveling, that's gonna do more for you than waiting till you get back from vacation to go 100% in at the gym with all your equipment.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I feel like people are so fixated on that. And I always tell people, take some bands with you. 15 minutes bands, you still get your resistance training in.
Yeah.
You don't have to think, I need to sweat, I need to burn calories. It's not the logic behind it. It's just movement, good movement. And I think that's the most important part. And a lot of people just feel like, no. I mean, I just had a client actually today. She sent me her stats and she was panicking. She's been traveling for like a month. And we decided that we're going to train, but she didn't end up training. It was, I think, more than a month. And she was like, I don't want to do my measurements. I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to check my in-body. First of all, in-bodies are bullshit. Like, they'll give you a good idea of where you're at, but they're not accurate to what your fat percentage is, obviously. But it's a good idea to know where you're at. So she had done one before she traveled. And then she was really worried that, oh my God, I've gained so much fat and I've lost so much muscle and I've just gained so much weight. So I said, can you just do it before we start so you stop panicking?
Yeah.
She sent it to me today. She's like, oh, I gained like 0.5% of fat and I lost weight and I lost a little bit of muscle. And I'm like, there you go. You've been panicking for the past 2 weeks saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
The world did not end. You still have your gains. Maybe not just 5% less.
Yeah.
Not even, sorry, it was 0.5 kilos less.
Right. And you'll get it back. If you get, like, once you've trained and if you take a break and you get back to it, you're going to get back to it much faster, much easier. But of course, don't feel bad if, like, your first couple workouts don't feel that great. That's normal. Don't let it discourage you from feeling like you've fallen behind. Just stick to being consistent, doing movement when and where you can, and not being super strict on yourself if things don't go exactly to plan.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, normally what I do is if I've taken a break, which I do a lot because I travel so much, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times, like, if I go off for a week, I'm not going to strength train if I'm going on like a summer vacation just for a week, you know? I come back and I already know that I've taken a break. I'm going to go into the gym. I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to feel weaker. So what do? I start with my weights lower.
Yeah.
You know, just start lower. I gauge it out and I'm like, okay, this feels okay. Next set, take it up a little bit. All right, okay, now this is challenging. Then I know now after my vacation, this is my starting point and we go from here. Mm-hmm. But it's not that big of a deal. And I feel like a lot of people also want to, you know, when they take that break and they come back, they want like, I want to start exactly where I stopped.
Yeah.
That's not realistic. Or
they feel like they need to do more and get back to where they stopped to like make up for this lost time that they feel like.
Yes.
And that's a mistake, is to thinking that you need to go hard, whether it's with diet or exercise, that you need to make up for lost time and go super hard when you get back. And it's honestly kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
It's better to, like, it's okay if you ease your way back. Like, many times if I'm coming back from a break from working out, I don't put too much pressure. Maybe I literally maybe I don't have much time or I don't have much energy. I put on a clock for 45 minutes. I go to the gym and I'm in and out in 45 minutes. And I can just check that off my box. Like, okay, I did what I said I was going to do. I went to the gym. I moved my body. And that's like, when we have buckets, like that's a drop in the bucket of me being a healthy person that follows through and does things that are good for me.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times, like as well, like, you know, like you just said, you did something for your body. You did something healthy, right? But sometimes a few people are like, oh, I am strength training. I have to do 4 sessions this week. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say they're doing other things. Okay, so they enjoy going out for a run. They enjoy going out for a bike ride. So they've done a bike ride in the week. They've done a run in the week. And they've only done 2 or 3 strength training workouts. 3. Mm-hmm. And they're missing 1 by the end of the week. They start to feel like shit because it's like, I didn't do what I was going to do. But I think people don't understand that just moving your body in general is moving your body in general. Like, even if you didn't manage to do your last strength session, it doesn't mean you haven't moved. You did an extra run. You did an extra bike ride. Mm-hmm. But I think people also get so fixated on programs.
Yeah.
That it's like, this is my time to do it and I have to complete it. And then not realizing that it is okay to kind of shift things over. Mm-hmm. As long as you're getting the minimum in, you don't have to beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, I agree. I see a common similar thing that, people really getting fixated on like the plan and then feeling like, oh, if they didn't execute the plan 100%, then that means it wasn't valuable. What they did wasn't valuable or it wasn't enough. And that's just another mindset thing. Like, even if, you don't do exactly the plan, you need to find value in what you did do. And those are all positives. And just because maybe you missed that one workout, that's not like a negative Like, that doesn't take away from all the other things that you've done.
Yeah.
And like you said, all different types of movement is valuable. I don't think it's necessary to stick so strictly to a progressive program every day, every week, every month. I think you need to find value in the when and how you can find time to move your body in different ways. And you find value in that rather than executing things perfectly to plan.
And also things you don't enjoy that much. I mean, I always, like, for me personally, I get bored of strength training a lot, right? Because it's just something that I do. It's like, I don't do CrossFit. I don't do powerlifting. You know, it's not, I don't have like, I need to hit this weight. I don't have PRs I want to reach or anything. Strength training is something I do because it's something I have to do, right? And I do get bored. I get bored. And I get some clients as well telling me, this is really exciting right now, but what happens when I get bored? And I'm like, well, you are going to get bored because that's just what it is. But I mean, personal opinion, I think it's really important that you look at strength training as a part of your everyday life, not as a sport that you do, because it shouldn't be a sport that you do, and find another sport that you enjoy to keep that, keep the motivation going, you know? Like, take up running.
Yeah.
And then focus on strength training and improve your running through your strength training. You know, choose a sport.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's super valuable in finding some outlet, especially like sports. Finding a sport or a physical hobby that you can do that is bringing like joy and fulfillment. Maybe it's social, and it's gonna fulfill different needs that we have, like physical needs, social needs. Having fun playing a sport, that's, I think, really important to do even as you're an adult, is having fun and playing. And then you can do your strength training to support those other parts of life.
Exactly.
The strength training doesn't have to be your whole main thing. It can just be there to support you. Or if you really love strength training, you can do it all the time, and that can be your focus. But
you will get bored. I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah, for most people, they don't love strength training, so...
Yeah. Like, going to the gym and doing strength training, I mean, like you said, some people may really enjoy it. I know people who really love it, and they don't want to do anything else but that, and that's great, and they've been doing it for years, but some people are going to get bored. Yeah. Right? And then people take breaks as well, like we discussed. So what happens if, you know, you end up taking a long break? Like, for people like you and me, it's different. This is who we are. It's what we do for a living as well. You know, we enjoy movement. We enjoy training. So even if it's hard, we still manage to get our asses up and get into the gym and move our bodies. So what about people who just are not like that? How do you think, you know, the struggle to actually get your ass up and go to the gym after a break, after a vacation, how do you feel like people should approach that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and that's something I've personal experience with, is sometimes you fall off your routine, and sometimes it's not easy getting back into routine. So one thing first to start, we can focus on the mindset and how you're perceiving this break that you've taken from fitness. So one mistake that we can make in this situation is feeling badly about taking time away from our routine and beating ourselves up about this time away, feeling like we're behind. What we can do instead is flip the mindset, remind ourselves that life is crazy. Life, we can't predict it sometimes. So we have to fluctuate. It's okay if we take a break. Maybe that break is even better for our body. If we've been training hard and we need to take a week off for whatever reason, there's many times you come back and you might even feel better because you needed that break. Yeah. So let's not beat ourselves up about taking time away or falling off of our routine. It's okay. We can shake it off and get back to it. Yeah,
I mean, when I had that situation, when I had to take that break, I was, like I said, I was panicking. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm fit. I train all the time. It's part of my life. It would be interesting to see what happens if I don't, and how quickly I manage to get back. Because what happens? At the end of the day, our body adapts, right? How you burn adapts. How you build adapts. The amount of calories you're taking in, your body's always going to adapt to what you're doing. So the fitter you are, it's actually harder to try and get to a certain goal. So let's say today I have a aesthetic goal, right? And this is my goal. It's going to take me a lot longer to get to that goal than it would be for somebody who just started, right? Because my body's fully adapted.
Yeah.
So when I took that break, when I came back, I think I spent 3 weeks focusing on my nutrition and training. I felt like, wow, it's never been so quick that I have managed to drop body fat. I got so lean, so strong, so fast.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen every single day because I'm training all the time.
Right.
So that break was like really good for my body because it just adapted to a new thing, and then movement was like boom, great. And now obviously I've adapted again.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly, right. We don't have to freak out and be worried about losing our muscle or losing our fitness super quickly. Especially if we've trained before, if we take a break, it's going to be much easier for us to get back into the shape that we were before.
Yeah.
The body is quite amazing.
Yeah, muscle memory. But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's important to give your body a break every once in a while, especially if you're somebody who's like non-stop training for months at end without taking any breaks. It's important. I have like one client, she just refuses to take breaks. And like, I always tell her, stop, please, 4 days, just take a break, chill. Nothing is going to happen. The world is not going to end. It might actually be better for you because you're always tired. You put training as something you have to do, but you're always tired. So you're actually not reaping the benefits from training.
Right.
Because you're not recovering properly. You're not sleeping well. You're not eating well. You're exhausted all the time. Take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
if you're going hard, you need to take a break.
You need to take a break. And I think people don't realize how important, like, what you do in the gym, your results are going to come from your recovery at the end of the day, right? Like, if I'm going every single day to the gym and I'm not sleeping well, like for a whole month, okay? Every single day I'm in the gym, I'm putting in the work, but I'm only getting like 5 to 6 hours of sleep. Am I going to see results? No. And I think people fail to understand the importance of recovery.
Yeah. Right, you're like shooting yourself in the foot if you don't think that taking a break and taking rest is important to getting where you want to go with your fitness goals. It's absolutely important. Your body needs time to adapt, to get back to homeostasis. Like when we're training, we're putting literal stress on our body. We're stressing ourselves out. We're stressing out our nervous system. And so we need to take time away to let ourselves build back up and build back to a stronger point than we were before, and we go through a cycle. But if you never go down and let yourself have that recovery part, then you're just gonna wear out and burn out.
I mean, like growth hormone as well, like it does not release while you're training at the gym.
Right.
It releases when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, yeah, I want to build muscle. Okay, but are you sleeping properly? No. Okay, how are you going to build muscle? You're not going to build muscle. It's vital. Recovery is such a vital part of the whole journey and the whole picture, whether you have a temporary goal or a long-term goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody's also overthinking how to get back onto it, they're not going to get back onto it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, overthinking is a big killer of action, right?
Yeah.
So if you're overthinking about what to do or the perfect workout or maybe you had a program and you're like, oh God, I have to get back to this squat day, my Monday, and it's freaking me out because I know I'm going to be tired or whatever. Like, it's okay. Don't overthink it. This is where I think that we can learn to train intuitively a bit, like kind of how we can learn how to eat intuitively. We can learn to train intuitively. So I think the biggest thing is, okay, just get yourself to the gym and do what I like to call just the workout rule. And not the workout rule, sorry, the warm-up rule, which is just do the warm-up. Okay, if you're having resistance to getting back into the gym, like I do sometimes, if I've fallen off my routine, I can feel resistance, like, oh, it's gonna hurt or it's gonna be uncomfortable to get back into this. Don't think about that. Just think about the warm-up. All you have to do is go to the gym and do your warm-up. After you do your warm-up, you can reassess how your body's feeling, how you're feeling energetically, and where to go from there.
Most of the time you're going to end up training because you're at the gym.
Yeah, you're at the gym. And most of the time, if we feel like we don't have that much energy or we don't want to work out, once we start moving, many times we do a 180 and we're okay to work out and we go through and we end up having a great workout.
Yeah.
It's just that starting and getting the engine going, getting moving. So I suggest, like, maybe you have like a go-to warm-up that you can easily do. You don't have to think about it hard. It kind of gradually builds you up from start with some easy mobility and then gradually start getting your heart rate rhythm going, just to get yourself moving. And I'm sure you're going to start feeling like back 100%. On a roll.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think a lot of the times with a lot of things we do, whether it's fitness, nutrition, anything, or even just like simple things that we all do in life, like, okay, I'm doing a course I need to study. The resistance that we create in our mind is so much, like, it's so much easier for us to just sit on our asses, sit on the couch, scroll through social media, watch Netflix, than actually open that book to study or get your ass out of the house and even just go for a walk. Our mind is very resistant. And yeah, I feel like there's, you know how they always say there's like the angel and the devil? And I think the devil plays a big role when we are needing to do things that are good for us.
Yeah, and also our bodies, okay, biologically we're built to survive and to be in comfort. Like that's what our brains want. Our brains want to keep us safe and keep us comfortable. And so sometimes getting off the couch and going to the gym is uncomfortable. And so our brain is like, no, that's not necessary for our survival.
We're happy here.
Yeah, we're happy and comfortable here on the couch.
Put on another episode. Come on, play next.
So sometimes we just have to like trick ourselves to get past that resistance and remember, maybe not take that resistance for like face value.
Yeah.
And remember that we're very complex beings and our brains are wired in certain ways to give us resistance to things that are different or give us resistance to things that take effort. So yeah, just maybe lower the barrier to entry if you're having a lot of resistance. If you're having resistance to going to do your squat day on Monday, forget about squat day. It's okay. Like, change the workout. Make it something that you do feel like you can do.
Go do squats. Use dumbbells. It's much easier. Yeah. Just feel better about it.
Exactly. Like, you can change. It's okay to fluctuate.
On that point, like, I actually had somebody tell me the other day, when am I going to be the best version of myself? A client of mine. And I said, you're not. And that sounded like really harsh, but it was more like you're not. The point of me saying that, and then I obviously explained it to her, was that you're never going to always be the best version of yourself. There's nobody out there who is 24/7 their entire life going to be the best versions of themselves. You are not going to have perfect weeks. You're not going to have perfect years. You're not going to have perfect months. You're always going to fall off the wagon, and that is so normal. And yes, you wake up, you look at your phone, and you see these people waking up at 5 a.m. I used to wake up at 5 a.m. Did I do it every single day? Fuck no. Obviously not. But people watching, you know, they would think that. I was, however, honest and saying, you know, this is really not every single day because I need to sleep in sometimes. I need to take a break sometimes. But then there are people on social media who are making you believe that they are the 1%.
Yeah.
And they are doing that every single day, no matter what. Rain, snow, sun, blah, 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 you know? And then it plays on people's minds and they think, well, today I ended up doing nothing. I had all these plans for my day and I didn't go to the gym. I didn't eat well. I ended up in the snack cabinet and I've just watched TV all day. I'm never going to be good enough. And it's kind of like, you're always going to have days like that. I have days like that all the time. I'm sure you have days like that as well.
Yeah.
And it's not about perfection. And I think, again, it comes down to social media being so fucked up and just fucking with people's heads, you know, that this is where I need to be. But, you know, it's really, I feel like people need to be more real about these things.
Yes. If you need realness, just know, like, I am nowhere near perfect in any of my routines, honestly. Like, yeah, don't get fooled by these people on Instagram where they make it look like they have all their aspects. Like, they're performing all aspects of their lives at like the highest level.
All the time.
And they're like their highest, most best self. And that's why we can feel like, yeah, when am I going to be that version of me where I'm like excelling 100% in all the aspects? But you have to remember, we have limited time. We have limited energy. So even though we can continue to elevate like our life, that doesn't mean that, right, we're going to be at this time where all the aspects are with 100%, because that's just, I think, impossible.
I don't think it's realistic. I mean, the way I like to look at it is like, I mean, I used to feel that way as well, and I really tried, and I would go through like months of being at my A game, but I was exhausted. So am I really at my A game? No, I'm not, obviously. I'm checking everything off the list, you know, waking up at 5, meditating, reading, training, second session, all that, eating, no drinking, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's one, it's not realistic, and two, I also believe that we all have seasons, and the more I've started to understand that, I realize that we have seasons where we can really excel, and we have seasons where we don't need to be excelling, where we need to do the bare minimum, and that's fine, and that's okay. And these people who are showing you that they're excelling all the time in every aspect of their life, they have seasons too, and they're showing you their good season. I mean, even athletes, right? Like even like basketball players, for example, they have their season where they're training like insane, right? And they're eating well and all that stuff, and then they have their break where they don't train at all, where, you know, they're allowing their bodies to relax, they're allowing themselves to eat things they like, and then they go back. Like, I think we all operate in seasons, and again, having that mindset of I have to constantly be the best version of myself, you're going to just end up disappointing yourself, and it becomes a battle with you against you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like the Spider-Man meme, like you, like, yeah. It's going to be a battle with yourself.
I don't know the meme. So that's the mindset part of trying to get back into routine.
Yes. In regards to the same thing of feeling like we need to be performing like at our 100% all the time in all the different aspects. Also, we have to remember, like you said, we're cyclical people. We go through cycles, we go through seasons. And even though society is kind of built around this, I mean, especially, I don't know how it is from where you come from, but like in the United States, we're a big work culture. So we're big focused on, okay, 40-hour work weeks, like no vacation, year round, and just becoming an adult. And I've just realized how kind of like effed up some of these just things that we've accepted because it's the norm.
That's why you moved to Europe.
Yeah. Because I'm just like, how is it that we're really meant to work this amount, this consistently for years and years and years?
And still be in debt.
Yeah, and still be in debt. Like, this doesn't quite make sense. And I think especially as females, we're very like cyclical. We have many things that go through cycles. So to expect ourselves to just stay at this even like performance of life and even like trying to progress linearly upward, I think is just not a good expectation to have of life, because we're going to go through cycles. We're going to have to let some things go sometimes, take more things on, but don't hold ourselves to these ideas of constant, I don't know, like just constantly being your 100% best all the time forever.
Not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the whole American 40-hour week. I remember when I had my first ever business coaching sessions, I had like with my success coach, he had 4 people under him, including me, and we had a call, and everybody was American. And the first call he had was to explain to people that they have to get rid of that mindset of 40-hour work week. And when he started talking about it, he said, Nikita, you live in Europe, right? And I said, yeah. He's like, you don't need to be on this call. You know, because you get it.
You get it, yeah.
You get it, that 40-hour work weeks is bullshit. Why are we slaving ourselves that way? You know? We got to learn to enjoy life. Like, in my point of view, I feel like work and all these things have to not be my life. They need to be part of my life. My life should be things I enjoy.
Right.
And then work and all these things come under that. And again, you know, when people are trying to excel all the time, they want to excel in their training, they want to excel in their work, they want to also go on holiday, and they also want it. It's like, how can you do all these things? It's just it's not feasible.
Yeah, some things have to give sometimes.
Yeah, but then again, you know, you watch Instagram stories of these influencers and you think that this is the life I need to have, but that's their work.
Yeah. That's their work. That's their image. It's their job to have this image, literally. So, yeah. Let's not be fooled. And let's have some grace with ourselves, self-love, having good self-concept of where our value is coming from, and leaning on that instead of external validation, you know.
Definitely. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming, and I want you to, if you had 3 things to leave, 3 pieces of advice to give when it comes to training yourself, whatever it is, from based on everything that we spoke about, what's the 3 things you want to leave people with?
Okay. One is, like we've been talking, is don't get stuck on performing things perfectly in executing plans 100% perfectly. Focus more on what you can do imperfectly, what you can do imperfectly consistently, rather than what can you do perfectly, because that's just a recipe for a burnout and feeling like a failure.
Yep.
So that's number 1. Number 2 is with fitness. I think that there's a lot of value in either hiring a coach in like one-on-one or in classes at some point in your fitness journey, especially in your beginning stages, because when I first started working out, I had a lot of doubts. I didn't know how to push myself. But once you get someone there that's there to help you with technique, know when to push yourself, you can really start to learn and take that with you when you train yourself in life. So I think it's good at some point to have some type of coach just to help you, so that later on in life you don't need one for forever, you know? And then number 3, enjoy life, have fun. Don't be so focused on the end result of things. Find joy in the process. I think that's something that many people say, but it's just true. Something that I have to remind myself on a daily basis is finding your joy of life in the daily things, and not waiting to be happy and loving your life at the end when you achieve whatever goal it is that you're striving for.
I think that's super, super important. And me moving here, that's actually been one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. Like, you know, like I need to learn to enjoy life, because this is the life I want.
Yeah, and like today, right now.
What am I waiting for?
Yes, like,
you know, what are you waiting for? I mean, I get my life before, I was a bit unhappy, but this is what I wanted. So I'm like, we're waiting. Not what? Today is the day. Every day is a good day.
Yeah.
Those are all 3 really great things, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, we should do it again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you like this episode, please make sure to like, hit subscribe, and share it with a friend who you think is going to find it useful. Thank you, guys. Stay healthy. See you next week.